Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek, and welcome to day 28 of my 31 days of Halloween reviews. So I had a few titles specifically scheduled for these last few days, and some of them are still on, but this one title I had for tonight has just been backordered and delayed, and it just isn't going to make it here on time, so I thought rather than shuffle around the other things I have planned for the end of the month just in the gamble that this one will arrive or not, I thought I'd just choose something else. So I looked back at the titles I'd already reviewed, and I got a lot of great feedback, both on YouTube but also in the other places I'd shared the video, for the Grimm Fairy Tales, the Zenescope Grimm Fairy Tales Halloween special that I did. So I went back and looked at a couple of the other specials. I'm currently a member of Comixology's Unlimited service, which is basically their subscription service, which really has got quite a few good titles on it for you to borrow and read and download. Some of the out-of-the-way titles, not really the big names necessarily, but stuff like Zenescope, and there's some great Conan tales and stuff like that on there that I've been enjoying. And they have quite a few of the Zenescope Grimm Fairy Tales Halloween specials on there. There have been quite a few. The most recent one just came out this month, actually. So I read through a few of them, and I enjoyed them all. The number 1 was even pretty good. Read 2, 3, but one of them really stuck out, and that was number 2 from 2010. So Grimm Fairy Tales 2010 Halloween special, number 2 Halloween special, depending on the title where you're searching for it. But you can read it for free if you're a member on the Comixology Unlimited. Otherwise, I'm sure you can find it in many other places. And this one is by Joe Bruscia. Well, the story is by Joe Bruscia, Ralph Tedesco, and Raven Gregory. But the script is by Raven Gregory. A lot of these scripts are. The art, it's weird. The art is actually broken up. Even though the story, it's one story. And this is why I like this title the best out of all of the specials that I've read so far, is that we talked a lot about the pros and cons of having a bunch of different shorter stories. And, when you can have a nice story arc, that's great. Sometimes the framing story is really cool. You can work into it. But this one didn't worry about any of that. This one's just an actual story from beginning to end. The whole thing is one big longer story arc. And I really enjoyed that. So even though it's a longer story arc, they still did have different artists coming in. I don't really know why. Page 1 to 12, Alison Rodriguez, page 13 to 24, Gledson Barreto, and page 25 to 38, Mauricio Abreu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing those right. But it's kind of weird that I think this is a credit to Zenescope in their editing, though. Even though you had different artists here, and going back now, I can look at it and see, okay, there's a little bit of a change of style here. The house style for Zenescope is very much still adhered to, even by all of the different artists. So going through, you can still see, yep, that's a Zenescope Grimm Fairy Tale style. And I appreciate that. I've talked a lot about it in different titles over this month and the ones we've reviewed, but the art just gets weird. It's just gotten way too stylized and just too funky and just gross in a lot of places. And, comic books are supposed to be, that visual mythology it's idealized forms. You don't look through Greek art and sculpture and find, funky looking, overweight buck-toothed people. I mean, that's in real life. We all actually look like that, going around in real life. But our mythology, we want to find some idealized forms and both in physical form, but also in their manners and behaviors and stuff like that. And, or if they're the bad guys, they're, more horrific and stuff like that. So, just a touch of mythology there, but I like when the art reflects that. And as I said the last time, Zenescope very much reflects that. You've got gorgeous art. You've got very, idealized male and female forms. So, very sexy. People think, oh, Zenescope's so sexy. That's just, blah, blah, blah. It's a horrible, chauvinist, objectifying title or whatever. No, it's not. It's actually really quite well written, and they're just not afraid to idealize their forms, and they do it beautifully, I think. But, that's another argument or another discussion. But I do appreciate this story. So like I said, it's one longer story arc. And at first, when I read the first 2 pages, just going through the panels, I thought this isn't very original. I thought maybe, this is, I don't know. It seemed like a tried idea, like it had just been done already. So you've got this group of young people, college age-ish, and they're going to a Halloween party dressed as vampires, and everybody's dressed as vampires. It's like a vampire Halloween party. And they're talking about how they're true vampires, and this one night they get to go out and feast on all of the humans who dress like them for a night. So that kind of idea of real vampires showing up at a costume party where people are just dressed like vampires, been there, done that. But as you go through, you find out, no, they're not actual vampires. They're just really into the cosplay experience, and they're really into the I don't know, LARPing or something, I guess you call it, live action roleplay, of these vampires. And there are games and there are groups out there that do that kind of stuff. And it's funny though, because they show up into the party and they've put glitter makeup on themselves, like Twilight stuff, and everybody's just staring at them, and they're like, "I told you we shouldn't have done that, this and that." So they're at this party, and then you've got this other group of real vampires that they're supposed to be, and they look different, they look very real, and they're watching them. So then I think, okay, well, this is still a little cliche. We've got, group of people pretending to be real vampires at a vampire costume party, and then the real vampires show up and teach them a lesson. Been there, done that a million times. And it goes through, and they meet this other little guy named Drake, who's this little nerd. He's basically like in a Bela Lugosi cape with like a red tie over it or whatever. So it's just, and he's a short little guy. And it just, so you think it's going to go a certain way, but then as you reach the end though, it keeps flipping expectations. What you thought was going to happen doesn't, and who you thought these people were proves to be false, and who you thought these people were proves to be false, and it comes around to this really cool story. And it reminded me of those great anthology series, television series, of course, like the wonderful Twilight Zone-ish, but Twilight Zone was more science. You didn't get a lot of horror necessarily in Twilight Zone, straight horror anyway. It was more sci-fi-esque. But specifically, this reminded me of Tales from the Dark Side. And I loved that series. And when I could catch it growing up, and certainly loved catching the reruns now. And not every episode of Tales from the Dark Side is wonderfully developed and wonderfully executed, but you can tell watching them that even the ones that do seem like they're missing a lot of beats, it's probably just because the time restraint of the show just forced them to cut out a lot of stuff or forced them to pare down the script, because you can tell the ideas are so cool that, yeah, you just add this scene over here and maybe plug another scene over in there, and then you've got this wonderful story that just really just mind-blowing and messes you up pretty well. So this reminded me of the Tales from the Dark Side series, and when they would have a great episode, man, that was golden. So I don't know if any of my viewers here remember Tales from the Dark Side, but I just dearly love that show. And in fact, I saw a whole complete series DVD set in Walmart the other day. I need to go buy that and just swallow it and get the money. So I don't want to ruin this issue, but I really highly recommend it for anybody who just wants that kind of twisted fun story for Halloween. I really think this will please you for that, especially dealing with vampires. That's always popular, but none of the traditional expectations of vampires. It really is great at the end. I wish I could just spoil it and really get into some analysis, but I'm trying for these review videos to avoid spoilers and pare back the analysis a little bit just to make them reviews. So it is the Zenescope Grimm Fairy Tales Halloween Special from 2010, number 2 Halloween Special, depending on how it's listed when you search for it. It is available to read for free if you're a member of Comixology Unlimited. I'm sure you can get it many other places as well. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this. If you've read Zenescope titles before, I know some people are saying that they hadn't, but it looks interesting. Is this something that you might like to get into? I have to be honest, I've never followed the series storyline, issue to issue. I always just kind of pick through it, but I really think I'm going to go back from issue 1 and really start following it now. It's pretty fun, and I'll see if it proves to be worth that or not. But let me know what you think about it. Also, let me know if you remember Tales from the Dark Side, or if this is completely new to you. But I remember I would catch episodes when I could growing up, but they would also air, those day-long marathons on the Sci-Fi Channel occasionally. And just from the 80s, you just had great stories in that episode. You had great actors coming and going there too through it. So great anthology series. So yeah, I'd love to be able to geek out about that with some other people. Don't forget our giveaway, of course. I think we only have 9 subscriptions left to go to make that golden 250 mark. And then we will do the giveaway. So if you commented on a video, then that's all you need to do. If we make 250 subscriptions in the next few days, then I will do that giveaway for the Batman Nevermore issue 1. And come back tomorrow for another review of a great story that is Halloween and superhero and or comic book related. Until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the Halloween and superhero stories you love. Thanks for watching.